Hi, my name is Brian Lum. I'm a San Francisco State University student studying health education. After transferring from City College of San Francisco, earning my STI and HIV certificate, I've come to San Francisco State to focus on more health education and focus on emerging diseases. After taking Dr. Sehgal's emerging disease class in spring 2010, I've got the opportunity to learn more about HIV and the disease, specifically around the world and how it affects other people besides people just living in developed countries. So now I'm going to talk about HIV, why it is emerging, and reasons why HIV is. So now let's talk about what classifies as a disease as emerging. Scientists consider viruses like HIV to still be emerging within the human population. A virus is said to be emerging if it satisfies one of three criteria: an increase in prevalence, 2, an increase in geographical range, or 3, an increase in host range. AIDS has been reported in 162 out of 195 countries, and 162 countries report people living with HIV/AIDS. In 2009, 50% of all AIDS cases were women. Since 2009, HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, has impacted the lives of everyone, infected or affected by the virus. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention estimate that by the end of 2009, 35 million people worldwide had been living with the disease inside their body. Although frank discussions and modes of transmission, access to antiretroviral medications, and medical care, along with access to prophylactics, are the reasons and have greatly expanded the lifespan of people living with AIDS in American and industrialized countries. Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest prevalent rates of HIV infections of disease and prevalence in the world. The HIV prevalence can be up to 5 times higher than the global average in undeveloped countries. 2.25 million are living with HIV/AIDS as of 2007 in Sub-Saharan Africa. 70% of the new HIV infections in 2009 are said to be found in Africa. This will have a huge impact on the future of these regions, both economically and socially, over time. Although HIV has been known to medical science since 1959, why is it still emerging? My colleague, Shamim Butt, will talk about the mechanisms that clarify the disease.
Now that Brian has spoken about HIV as an emerging disease, I would like to speak about the mechanism of HIV. Here is the CD4 cell, which the HIV targets. There's our HIV. The first point is attachment to the CD4 cell, and it does this via the GP120 receptor. Number 2 is it also attaches via co-receptors. Number 3, here we have the uncoating of the viral RNA into the cytoplasm. 4th is we have reverse transcription taking place of the single-stranded DNA into now the DNA synthesis of the single strand. 6th, we have migration of this double-stranded DNA into the nucleus of the CD4 cell. And in steps 7 and 8, what happens is that we have integration taking place. The genetic material of the HIV gets incorporated into the CD4 nuclear strand, and from integration it gets transcripted. Once it is transcripted, we have RNA nuclear transport. In this step, we have 2 options. Either we have mRNA manufacturing the viral proteins that it needs. Second, it goes into the genome of the RNA. Once encapsulated with the protein synthesis in step number 10, number 11, we have the packaging that takes place of the virion assembly. 12 we had the viral proteins moving into the cell membrane, and here 13 and 14 we get to see the release and budding off and the maturation of the HIV virus, so that it makes many of them and goes ahead and infects other CD4 cells. So why is this important? Reverse transcriptase is highly error prone, giving mutations, and this is one of the reasons why it is very hard to come up with a vaccine that will be good enough to be effective in treating HIV. The other point to note is that because of the migration into different countries, human populations come in and out. We have subclades, subtypes in the United States through people traveling. What is happening is that the HIV clades, the ones that are more virulent, come into the country, and through this migration what we end up having is one strain being more virulent getting into another's body which is less virulent, again causing complications in trying to find treatment. Again, in the body itself, these mutations that take place are error prone in the system of the HIV infected individual, and that in itself, those mutations are called quasi The complexity of the mechanism is one of the reasons why it is difficult to get a vaccine for HIV.